From Milky Way to Earth, you can connect with Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Log on to our website www.eaglesfm.com. Follow and engage with now on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Eagles FM Abuja, Instagram at EagleFM23. Download our apps on your Android and iOS stores. Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, your radio experience you can count on.
If there is ever an experience that you can count on, it will be Eagles 102.3 FM's experience, the type that we give you as we launch you into an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. It is exactly 3 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side, and my name is Uduak Daniel. Don't forget that this week is not just, like every other week. It is World Immunization Week, so it starts, of course, from the 24th to the 30th of April of this month, right? And it's as put together by the World Health Organization, that's talking about the WHO. This should serve as a reminder to you that, look, you should take out your ward, your child, your brother, your sister, and everybody that seems to be dependent on you for an immunization check, right? That's very, very important. Now, we're going to have our own immunization going on right here on the show, as we indeed will be looking into topical issues, political issues that border around our affairs, affect us directly or indirectly, actively or passively. And yes, this beautiful Tuesday, the 29th day in the month of April of 2025. My name is Uduak Daniel, and what exactly are we looking at this point in time? Remember that we started a series of conversation as yesterday, right, when we looked into matters that concerned, the Nigeria's economic status, and especially in the face of the global uncertainties. We've seen it from the economic point of view, the political point of view, and all of that. And of course, the World Bank, the IMF had something to say about our economic outlook. In fact, they had said that in 2026 we would have been plunged into more poverty, as our inflation rates particularly will be nose diving in the upward way, and that way, of course, it doesn't spell good for the economic outlook for the country, right? And we had our guest who is Defolarion Lamilekon, who happens to be a lead researcher at Poll Echo Analytics, and economist, who will also be on here via phone call to talk to us, as a continuation of the discourse, an outrage over World Bank's report on Nigeria. That's right. So the World Bank has gone on a report on us, talking about Nigeria right there, and there has been some sort of outrage. It has sparked widespread outrage. Some concerns among Nigerians. According to the reports, poverty rates in Nigeria are expected to increase by 2027. Quite a number of Nigerians will be seen living below the poverty line, and this projection indeed is what is causing the brouhaha as it speaks right now. The report also highlights the need for Nigeria to diversify its economy, invest in human capital, and promote private sector growth to create jobs and stimulate economic growth. But then this thing is still on the front burner, as on the one side we see that the World Bank would laud the reform efforts and policies of the Tinubu-led administration, and on the other part, the World Bank will still come aboard to telling us, oh, you should be wary of this. If you're not wary of this, what we are seeing for you in the economic outlook is doomsday. And it has made quite a number of experts and economists, and as well as well-meaning Nigerians and Nigerian lovers, as well as the citizenry of the country, especially those those who are at the marketplace to begin to have an ulterior motive as to what the World Bank or IMF may stand for, especially looking at the growth and development of Nigeria's economic outlook. What should be the healthy practice for us as a country to come out of the economic woes that we find ourselves today, right? And that report also emphasized the importance of jobs in fighting poverty and unlocking prosperity. However, it also notes that Nigeria's labor market is somewhat characterized by low productivity, a limited access to education and healthcare, and a lack of economic opportunities. The report also recommends that Nigeria invests in human capital, promotes private sector growth, very important now, and improve infrastructure to enhance, connectivity and access to markets. Now, as a Nigerian, I have seen firsthand the impact of poverty on individuals and communities, and boy, oh boy, talk to me. It is not a very, very beautiful scene or scenery or scenario, if you like to put it that way. Many people struggle to access basic necessities like healthcare. They struggle to access education. They struggle to access even clean water. They struggle to access attention, because even attention is so costly that people can't pay attention no more. The World Bank's report highlights the need for urgent action to address poverty and promote economic growth. Now, if you ask me personally, I can tell you for sure, for free, that I believe that working together, we can create a brighter future for Nigeria and its people. But that work has to be decisive. It has to be courageous. It has to be a deliberate, conscious effort. It has to be collective. It's not individualistic, because we see a lot of individualistic living in this country today. It's either you're very, very, very rich, or you are very, very, very poor. There is no middle class no more. And the truth is, we've had a long history of economic challenges, and most of it has been hinged on corruption, mismanagement, and over-reliance on oil revenues. I mean, in the 1970s, let me take you some time backwards, Nigeria's economy was really, really booming due to oil exports. But the country failed to diversify the economy and invest in human capital. I mean, today now, Nigeria is facing significant development challenges, including poverty, inequality, limited access to education, healthcare, you name it. So have we learned from our past economic woes into addressing the current development challenges that we face today? Have we? Have we not? Have we also been able to chart a new course, a new trajectory, a new way forward, a new pathway towards ensuring that we are able to bring the best brains, professors, doctors of economics rather, stakeholders in the financial sector on the table and saying, hey, what do we do? How do we get out of the woods on this one? Is it that we are so brain drained or brain damaged that we do not have a better understanding of how to go about healing the land, as well as uplifting the lives of Nigerians today? I mean, go just take a walk. I mean, I think I'm beginning to see some sense in what BB Blessing and some other family members would say. Say, but President, maybe you should just come down from the high horse and take a walk into some of these markets, Wuse Market, Kubwa Market, get into the Kabusa Market, get into all of these markets. Maybe you'll have a better understanding. If you are too busy to get into these markets, maybe the First Lady can do that for us and be honest with what she finds. Maybe if your son was honest enough, he would also do all of these for us and see and give you a feedback. Probably the feedback channel is not really telling you how things are going in the society today. And so that's why you probably do not know how intentional we need to be in tackling the economic woes that we face. I mean, talk about the economic factors now. Nigeria's economy is heavily reliant on oil revenues. And though conversations center around, oh, we have not diversified yet, which I'm telling you right now we have. It's just that we're not being conscious enough. We're not being deliberate enough. We're not being serious. I mean, those who are supposed to perform oversight functions to ensuring that all the sectors of, in the country are indeed working, MDAs, ministries, departments, agencies, that they were really living up to the expectation. I don't think they're doing their jobs, because they seemingly are sleeping. They're in slumber. They're in slumber as we so speak right now, rather than face the priorities, just like Olushola mentioned earlier at the 7 o'clock hour, saying that, look, we should look at how to improve the education sector, how to improve the health sector, how to look into, having a decisive and very well friendly, electoral process that will determine the value of the next generation leaders. I remember somebody also getting on the newspaper's front page and saying that, look, enough of the old timers. I think it's time for you to just go and relax and let the new timers handle their business. INEC recently is also trying to put out a bill to stop the president, or put out a law that will stop Mr. President from appointing Rex. Yes. But will that push through though? All of these and many more are why, or what contributes to the economic outlook in this country. So what strategies can Nigeria implement to diversify its economy and promote private sector growth? And how long would we continue to listen to the projections of IMF and the World Banks? Does it mean that without these two, we cannot indeed look our problems in the eye and prefer some considerable, sensible solutions to them? These are the questions that Nigerians are asking. Can we begin to use our heads and our brains now and stop the gallivanting? Because poverty and inequality are significant social challenges in the country. Now, the country needs to invest in human capital, including education and healthcare, to promote economic growth and reduce poverty. The country also needs to ensure that there is a level playing field where all and sundry, especially encouraging the local entrepreneurs to grow. Because it is said that the drivers of economy is the private sector. But how much has been given to the private sector in terms of attention, in terms of the ease of doing business, in terms of the laws to encourage this particular sector? SMEs, MSMEs. Oh yes, give it to the president though. There has been some major shift in the agriculture sector in terms of innovation and all of that, but how much of these innovations has really trickled down to the grassroots? How much of it are we seeing replicate itself and affect our economy positively? How much of it, of course, is creating a lasting employment and job creation, the one that is visible enough for us to have sustainability and accountability as well as transparency on? Not the jobs that will start off, as a result of there's this little stuff going on now. We are employing 30 people to work here, and it's just for a contract of 8 months, 1 year, 12 months at most. And that's job creation? No, that's not sustainable. That's not job creation, if you ask me. That's a jamboree. Because we will always get back to the true sense of the situation when all of that is cleared off, and then another administration will come up and say, oh, you know what, this is my own initiative. Where is the point of governance in continuity, or continuity in governance? So what programs can Nigeria implement to improve access to education and healthcare, particularly for vulnerable population, the same vulnerable populations that has been taken into consideration when it comes to government serving out? Palliatives. We always hear that it's for the vulnerable population, the poorest of the poor. And it makes me wonder who exactly are the poorest of the poor. If everybody's already plunging and living below the poverty line, who else is living as a poor? I don't think we do have a poor anymore. I think we have the poorer, because it's now degenerating into the poorest of the poor. And yet, who pays attention to them? How much are we doing as a people, as a country, to redeem our mandates? The same mandates that we made to the people, the same mandates that also guided us during the campaignings, the same mandates that we still held on to even when we got into office, and we told Nigerians that, look, as soon as I got in, I will ensure that the economy of the country is repositioned. Is this the repositioning that we were promised, though?
Good morning.
Sir Adefolari, good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, we have gone back and forth. Welcome aboard, though, by the way. We've gone back and forth. As of yesterday, we were looking at, matters that concern Nigeria's policies, what the future felt like. And now the World Bank had also come out as to giving us what they feel could be the direction for us. In fact, telling us that before 2026 or by 2027, we would have had, more Nigerians plunged, underneath the poverty line. And it has caused reaction for quite a number of people. And it has made us, to begin to ask some salient questions about where are we going in terms of the economic policies and all of that. Does this mean that we are brain dead and we do not have professionals, or we do not have people who are advising Mr. President in terms of economy, telling him the true situation of the world, telling him how we can get out of the woods on this one? Because it's beginning to pain the hearts of Nigerians that as much as we are educated, we have professionals in every aspect, in every field of life, who will go outside the shores of Nigeria and shine and spread their wings, and yet right here in the country, we are an example that people must not follow. What does it say to you, with the entire situation on ground?
I think the issue is just boiled down to interest of who is in power, interest of who is appointed into government, interest of who is also dealing with government policies altogether. So it's not a matter whether we don't have people who can advise the government, or we don't have educated people. We have all of them, but it all boils down to interest. And we need to also establish this. We are operating under a global capitalist economy that the likes of World Bank, IMF, WTO, they control all these global economic policies, principles, fundamentals. So, excuse me.
Yeah.
So the level of poverty that they are raised in Nigeria, so as a result of what they have been able to understand in terms of how policies are failed. Mm-hmm. And those policies didn't fail in Nigeria, not because Nigerian leaders doesn't want policy to fail, but because of the groundwork of the global economic narrative that we have faced between the developed countries and the underdeveloped countries. Because most of us are part of this side of the world that are underdeveloped countries. We depend majorly by borrowing some economic policies from the West. And most of those economic policies per se will not work for our environment, but because it is a global community that respected, that practice global capitalism, and that's why those policies are failing. And not to forget the lack of vision on the part of our leaders, who don't see the benefit of ensuring that policy work for the ordinary people, but policy work for the elite. And it's not just in Nigeria, even in global in developed countries that you are pointing out. If you go to all the developed countries, there are still poor people there. There are people that the policy of their government doesn't even work for them. And across the world, policy of government works majorly for the school class elite, economic class elite and the upper middle class in the society. And that's where we have found ourselves.
All right, let me ask you, some questions that are down the lines of what the World Bank thinks. One of such would be the fact that, look, we will indeed plunge more Nigerians into, below the poverty line come 2026, 2027. And of course, they've mentioned issues of economic diversification. They've mentioned issues of human capital investment, right? Private sector growth, right? These are the aspects that they are looking at. Infrastructure development is where we are adding to the discourse now, and corruption and accountability, of course, we are adding it to the discourse too as well, because the truth is, how can we indeed talk about human capital investment, economic diversification, poverty reduction if we don't look into corruption and accountability, if we don't look into infrastructure development, if we don't look into economic stability as well? Now, if you are to look into each of these, as I would want to throw some questions out right now, let's start with the private sector growth. It's no news anymore, Mr. Defolari, the fact that, look, the private sector drives the economy. But then again, it does seem, so to speak, as though this administration and past administrations have not been very intentional about the private sector. Now, what policies can Nigeria implement to promote private sector growth and job creation, and not the pseudo jobs that Mr. President has seemingly been very vocal about, jobs that will just last 12 months, 8 months, and that would be all. And the implication, of course, might be that the private sector growth can lead to job creation, economic growth, and improved economic opportunities. So Nigerians are expecting the government to implement policies that promote private sector growth and job creation. So what policies then, do you think, or what direction of policy do you think Nigeria can go on this one?
I think yesterday I did mention something about job creation on the issue, yes. And I also said something like that. See, the issue is that government can create jobs, even though we said that government alone cannot create jobs. Now, private sector can create jobs, but private sector on its own cannot also create full employment for Nigeria. It has to be on the both sides, government creating, private sector creating. But if we say what to depend on private sector, the way World Bank normally puts, World Bank normally puts for private sector incentive, private sector participation, private sector perspective in economic development. Now, no sidelining government out of it. And once that happens, exploitation will be greater, inequality will be more increased in the field. So for me, it's about both sides creating the jobs. Private sector doing their bit, government doing their bit, not just leaving it for private sector alone. And again, we should remove from our mind that government cannot create jobs. I made an example of how government can create jobs on this platform yesterday. And I talked about it's 4 government-owned enterprise. That what they should be doing is not to be collecting tax. What they should be focusing on is how to produce goods and services, how to offer services to Nigeria. Who says Nigerian government cannot have a telecommunication company? If we have a TV station that has been running for over 50 years, NTA, if we have a radio station that has been running for over 50 years, who says Nigerian government cannot own a telecommunication company running effectively? But just like what you pointed out, the problem we have in developing countries, underdeveloped countries like Nigeria, is corruption and bad leadership. You get it? See, there's one clear line between developed countries and underdeveloped countries. If you look at the caliber of their leadership, people who occupy government offices. Apart from Donald Trump that just came into American government as a billionaire, every country that you see, every government official are not millionaires. They are ordinary people with few thousands of naira or dollar in their account, and they are living comfortable. But here in Nigeria, when somebody enters government, it becomes trillionaire overnight, and that's why we have the challenge, because people see government as an opportunity to accumulate wealth, and because of that, it deepens and destroys the fabric of good governance and development in Nigeria. So, for me, creating jobs is on both sides. Government must create jobs, and private sector must create jobs, and they can create the jobs competitively.
Well, a comparative analysis of international best practice. You mentioned the United States now reveals that countries like South Korea, Singapore, and Malaysia, they've also successfully diversified their economies and achieved rapid economic growth. I mean, these countries invested heavily in human capital infrastructure, private sector development, and that, of course, enabled for transition from agrarian economies to industrialized and service-based economies. I mean, if you bring it down to Africa now, you look at Rwanda, you look at Ghana. I mean, they've made significant progress in promoting economic growth and even reducing poverty. Rwanda's focus on innovation and entrepreneurship that led to the growth of a vibrant startup ecosystem. Now, Ghana investment in infrastructure development has also improved access to markets and services. Now, you said the government can indeed provide jobs, can indeed bring about job sustainability in job creation. But then, what lessons then can we learn from these countries to addressing, our current economic challenges as it speaks?
I think to take a lesson from that, Lagos is even far in development than Ghana. So I can't use Ghana as a comparison to our development. Rwanda owned. Why Rwanda is succeeding is because the kind of democracy they are practicing is different from any kind of democracy anybody is practicing. The presidents of Rwanda have been there for over 20 years. And I believe to start to speak on the kind of economic progress they are making. And surprisingly, our media, our newspaper, our economy, they don't talk about how Rwanda government is participating fully in the economy. They don't just allow private sector to come and you know what they copy? They copy the style of economic policy of government of China. That's what the Rwanda copy. The government will have a stake of not less than 30% in every investment that you are doing, and they ensure that the regulatory framework that they have on ground, it is well followed. And what is about Rwanda is that they have limited toleration for corruption. Government officials, public officials, you hardly hear them collect bribe, because if you collect bribe in Rwanda, it's either a death sentence or you live the rest of your life in prison. So that kind of discipline is far higher. In Nigeria, we cannot allow that kind of discipline because of the kind of people that we have who be shouting human rights abuse and the rest of it. Because in Rwanda, there's nothing like human rights abuse. The government authority is very authoritative. Whatever the government says is what the people do, and the people recognize that of Rwanda economic policy, because it is people-centered policy.
Right.
It is about the people, and you can't point to individual billionaires in Rwanda. You can't, because it doesn't exist. You don't get it. So if we take lesson to learn from Rwanda, if you want to apply that lesson in Nigeria, I believe you'll be one of the people that will start about human rights abuse by government, because it is a very striking authoritarian government economic policy they are practicing. You don't go out of it.
Do you think that's what Nigeria needs to get it right? I mean, after all of these years?
No. The issue is that some of us do not have one kind of policy to be practiced. If the government says media houses don't promote private ideas over government ideas in Rwanda, it is the government. And one good thing about Rwanda is that the government pick those ideas from the people. That's why you see that people in Rwanda are happy with their government. They are not complaining. They rely shout from now to heaven, human rights abuse, because they know that all the basic necessities has been provided. And they were able to provide that basic necessity because the government will not allow public servants, civil servants, or bureaucratic of the government to be a constraint to the policy of government.
All right.
But here in Nigeria, the moment government started imposing certain restrictions, certain limitations, they will say it is tribalism, it is a religion, it is a this, it is that. You get it? So in Rwanda, that doesn't happen. As we try to promote sentiments in the area of a religion or ethnicity in Rwanda, they will kill you. But here in Nigeria, can we afford that to happen?
All right, I'll put a peg to your thoughts right now, because I've got to head out and pay some bills, go on a recess right now, as our National Assembly would do. But I will be right back. It's going to be a very short one. And when we do come back, we'll hear from our family members what they have to say about this. Indeed, should we indeed begin to tinker, the lines of how Rwanda and other countries, South Korea, even China is doing it and getting it rightly? Or should we continue in the sinful nature, that we are in this state? We'll be right back in a short bit, though. Let's go pay some bills.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Introducing the Mark Homes Limited, your partner in real estate, committed to turning your dream homes into reality. Now selling the Mark Royal Estate, a premier mixed-use development by the train station in Kagini, Abuja. Residential plots, commercial spaces, and top-tier infrastructure, all in one vibrant location. Coming soon in Gwarimpa, the Mark Mall, a bold commercial hub designed for visibility, accessibility, and long-term value. Visit us today at Suites 14, 15, and 16, God's Own Plaza, number 4, Takum Street, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Log on to www.themarkprojects.com or call 070-7921-9075. The number again, 070-7921-9075. The Mark Homes Limited, turning your dream homes into reality.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Meet the Infinix Note 50 series, defined by pioneers who push boundaries. Its ultra-resilient armor alloy metal frame design gives you that slick, top-notch style. Unlock efficiency with intelligence of the one-tap Infinix AI and circle to search anything on your phone with Google. Need power in a flash? 90 watts fast charge rockets you from 0 to 100% in 38 minutes. Exclusive deals at authorized stores. Get your Note 50 now. The Infinix Note 50 series. Pro design, pro AI.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
In case you're just tuning in and joining the conversation for the first time, this is Eagles Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs. You can indeed join the conversation now. 0907-353-0044. Was I fast? 0907-353-0044. The other number would be 0908-766 8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. As you also engage via the WhatsApp, please let your voice notes be 1 minute 35 seconds, or better still, well, that's the highest for it. Better still, you can just send a smart message via the WhatsApp portal, and it should be straight to the point, right? And let us know what you think about the World Bank's and a vision for Nigeria. Does it look really bright and early? Does it look like there's light at the end of the tunnel? Should we continue to listen to the voices of the world, begin to devise and look for other countries that we can gain samples from as to how they are getting it rightly in terms of their leadership? Well, not just the leadership now, economy. How are they driving the economy? How are they making the economy work? And what was consideration that they put in place that is very pertinent to healing the economic outlook of their respective countries, and then bringing it back here to Nigeria and seeing how we can modify it to also fit our own reality, right? And you can join that conversation as you watch the television that we are hosting on Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel, where you can subscribe at Eagles FM Abuja. Do the same for Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja, right? And spread the Eagles wings across these other social media platforms, talking about the Gram, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok at Eagles FM Abuja. So, still looking at the discourse now, the World Bank and IMF have indeed expressed support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic reforms, particularly the removal of petrol subsidies and foreign exchange unification. Now, some of these reforms, though, are expected to save Nigeria around 3.9 trillion, naira, which is equivalent in dollars to 1.6% of GDP, and set the stage for a new investment, growth, and development trajectory. But then, there are some key areas too that should be considered, areas of collaboration, if you like. Agricultural productivity must be increased because the World Bank is working with the Nigerian government to boost agricultural output. And Nigerians are asking the question that how much of agricultural output and relevance and presence have we seen then in terms of pricing for goods and commodities, in terms of the availability of goods and resources in this regard, in terms of how much and how well families in the country are able to feed. Is it 101? Is it 100? Is it 001? Is it 010? Or is it just 000? In other words, nobody eats in a day, right? Maybe you just keep in 2 days you're eating only 1 day, and once in that day is really deplorable, right? And of course, matters of concern: how can these SMEs, small medium enterprises, how can they really have access to financial provisions? Because at some point we've heard, oh, the government say that we have provided this funds, there are grants, there are loans that these entrepreneurs can indeed gain access to, but the fundamentals has also been whether or not these SMEs can indeed reach out or have the documentation, so to speak, requirements, so to speak, to get these loans and grants. So the World Bank is aiming to enhance financial inclusion for small and medium-sized enterprises. Now, the institution is supporting Nigeria's digital transformation effort. So we've been talking about going digital. We don't want to go the archaic way no more. We just want to be digital. We want to be up to speed with science and technology, technological breakthrough and all of that. So they are also supporting us in that regard. Now, when it comes to social protection measures, the World Bank and IMF recommend targeted cash transfers to cushion the impact of reforms on vulnerable populations. However, despite this support, the IMF has expressed concerns that the reforms are not yielding the desired result. All right, and they cited rising inflation and economic hardship for many Nigerians. The IMF is suggesting that the government should provide buffers to cushion the impact of these reforms. This be why the Tinubu-led administration at some point had begun to disburse certain monies and calling it palliatives, and to the detriment of Nigerians who really need it, because we need to put the facts on the table now and say it the way it is, right? How many of you have really seen the benefit? The IMF support for Nigeria's reforms comes with caveats, right? Emphasizing the need for careful implementation to avoid exacerbating economic challenges. Oh, IMF, it has been exacerbated. World Bank's cautionary approach now. The World Bank has praised Nigeria's recent GDP growth, but is warning that maintaining reform momentum is crucial to achieving inclusive job-creating growth. So it seems that while the World Bank and IMF supports the overall direction of the President Tinubu's reforms, they also highlighting the need for careful implementation and measures to mitigate the adverse effects on the most vulnerable populations, reputable people of repute in the society. If we continue to have a society where sidelined, persecuted, relevant, dissenting voices losing their National Assembly caucus declaring of support for President Good. Yeah, that's what they said, right? And they said they believe in the renewed hope agenda's momentum. So there's a cross-party endorsement going on. There's lawmakers backing the president, even in the face of all of the storms that we face. Are they being objective or subjective now? But then it is their right. I mean, it's their constitutional right. A member of the All Progressives Congress, APC, suggests a level of confidence in his leadership and policies and potentially bridging the gap between the two parties. I mean, the caucus praise for Tinubu's renewed hope agenda in economic policies also indicates that his administration initiatives are gaining traction, even among members of the opposition party. I mean, there's also this endorsement. It might signal a shift in Nigeria's political landscape. I mean, with some PDP members aligning themselves with President Tinubu's vision, potentially influencing the 2027 general elections, which quite a number of people, as the former governor of Kaduna State, is refuting and saying, no, it's not true. That's not even the issue. That he's unperturbed by it. Saying that, look, it's about the electorate, those who are going to vote. It's not about the governors or whoever is taking sides with the current administration. Mr. Adefolari.
I'm here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me back.
Right, I'm glad. What would be the cap that you're putting on this discourse to end it, to bring it to a conclusive conclusion? And what should be our responsibility as Nigerians in ensuring that at least we got it rightly this time?
It's a very interesting question. I'm quite sensitive in that nature. So for me, when you narrated the issue of endorsement here and here on the president,
Yes.
and some people were opposing it, I said something when we started. I said it's all about interest. The people that their interest is being served right now, they will definitely endorse the president for a second term. And the people that their interest is not served, they will definitely not want to endorse him. But the question boils down to, what about the people? What about the ordinary people? Because it is the ordinary people that are supposed to be endorsing, rightly from the grassroots level, from the household level to the community level, then to the village level, to the that's how the endorsement is supposed to come. But ordinary people will not want to endorse him because they are not benefiting from the government directly as expected. But as I earlier pointed out, the interest of people that are being served are people who are benefiting, either you're a private sector or a public servant or your politicians that are benefiting. You must definitely endorse because one continuation of that and of that interest to be served. Then it is not just likely to Nigerian issue alone. Even in developed countries, people who remain in government, who win elections, who always win elections or support particular candidacy on the basis that their interest will be served. A typical good example is the current US government, Donald Trump. All the people behind Donald Trump today are people who believe in his government, who is American first, who believe that the wealth of America must come back. And majority of them are capitalists. They are global capitalists who own, industries and the rest of them. Even though not all capitalists in America are supporting him, but the one that will benefit from his government will support it. And that also happened back here in underdeveloped countries like Nigeria. The people will be endorsing government, or endorsing the governor, endorsing the president, and people will be benefiting from him. But what should Nigerians do? Hope is not lost. But the challenge that we have is that, as I earlier pointed out at the establishment of this discussion, is that the foundation of the global economy of the world is built on global capitalism. A capitalist economy that is based on exploitation, that is based on inequality, that is based on ensuring that the poor continue to be poor. It's only here in Nigeria we are shouting we are poor. Poor people are all over the world. Even the World Bank that is saying 56% of our population will go into poverty. By the time they also give you the data they are bringing from other countries, they also tell you that poverty is going on. But ask me, what are they doing with all the money they are giving to all these countries to reduce poverty? What have they been doing with the money? Just the meeting that ended, that the same IMF is saying that Nigerian is having 56% of its population going to poverty. Do you know how much Nigeria will be able to secure between 2024 and today? From that same World Bank and IMF, they secure $500 billion US. They secure $850 million US. They also secure over $350 million US from the same organization. But ask me, all those money that are given to us to reduce poverty, to fight poverty, to increase human capital, what have they been? What are the people using the money for?
Right, so
then the same diversification of economy that they are pointing out, that we should diversify our economy. But see, when Buhari diversify our economy towards agriculture, who are the people that came and criticized him? Even though we know that his own diversification was not done strategically,
right,
in a way that our diversification should be linked to industrialization, particularly the agricultural diversification. We didn't link our diversification to industrialization. We only link our economic diversification to agriculture just for food production, and we end up producing just three kind of food, rice, and they spend money on cassava. What about the other staple food? They didn't put money there. And most of the money that they put in the diversification, it is the same our people that collected the money from CBN. Over 1 trillion was given out as agricultural loans. Nobody wants to return the money back.
For time has not really been a friend. We have another program on here, but I see that there's a lot to talk about, but we wouldn't be able to continue the discourse. But I just want to say a big thank you. I mean, you've also been able to make it clear. The questions have been there. What are the open-ended questions? What have we been doing with all of the, at least, monies that we've been having all of these ways from the IMF, the World Bank, and all of that? What are we doing with it? Have we been sitting on it? Have we been spending it on frivolity? Have we also been considerate of the masses' view concerning what the economy feels like in terms of their living standard, the poverty line and everything? I mean, these are the conversations and questions that you've asked, and they're very pertinent. I'm looking forward to more conversations with you on this matter, because it's an ongoing discourse that is not ending, and it's time we took decisive steps towards satisfying our conscience first of all, and as well as satisfying the yearnings of the average Nigerian. Oh, well, if they're still an average Nigerian. I mean, the masses, that's what I mean.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate. All right. That's the bulk of it, at this point in time. Thank you for listening, giving us your ears. Head out to social media platforms right there. Give us your like, give us a following, give us your subscription right there via the YouTube channel at Eagles FM Abuja. Once again, my name is Udwak Daniel.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello Nigeria. Hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes,